It's New Year's in the NBA, and the champagne is flowing as it does on New Year's Day. Both brothers get huge wins for the Spurs, even as Wemby goes down, and the Wizards as McCollum gets it done at the buzzer. Paolo Banchero beats the Horn in Indiana, and so much more. And a great night of hoops. We'll get to all of it right now on Locked On NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, Happy New Year, and welcome to Locked On NBA Game Night, bringing you the latest and greatest from around the association. A packed night of New Year's Eve action, 9 games around the league, 2-game winners late, a star injury kind of, and Victor Wembanyama and his team still wins the first game without a star as Nikola Jokic's Nuggets win in Toronto on a near buzzer beater from Brandon Ingram, and so much more. And another packed night, as every night is something in the league these days. I'm Tony East with Locked On Pacers. Wes Goldberg, normally with me on these days, is out today. It's New Year's. We're giving everybody the space to have a good time, but the NBA gives us no space to not talk about games, and there was so much packed into the action from the night. And I would like to start with the theme of New Year's and champagne, really champagne, the brothers who both played very well for their teams in big wins, and the biggest one, of course, coming for the Spurs, who had just lost the Cavs. A good month for the Spurs. They go 11-3. 2 of the 3 losses coming into the Cavs. This time playing the Knicks at home. The Knicks are a good team. OG Anunoby is a good fit for the kind of player that'd be good to defend Victor Wembanyama. And oh, by the way, Victor Wembanyama, slight knee hyperextension this game. He has to jog off. Surely that would doom the Spurs against a good team like the Knicks, the team that beat them in the NBA Cup Finals. And instead, Julian Champagnie, 36 points. He made 11 threes, and he had 6 rebounds, and he was plus 24. Here's Gavin Shaw of Locked On Knicks with more on this game.
Fall 134-132 to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm Gavin Shaw of the Locked On Knicks podcast. This was the kind of loss that felt somewhat overdue for the New York Knicks, who have been trudging along, pulling out close games this entire road trip against the Hawks and Pelicans, and finally variance swung the other direction. And despite the Spurs losing Victor Wembanyama with 10 minutes left in this one, the Knicks having a 10-point lead with 8.5 minutes to go in this one, they weren't able to hold on because they couldn't stop De'Aaron Fox down the stretch. Mikal Bridges really struggled in screen navigation. Deuce McBride, who would have been my first option to guard him, also didn't make much of a difference when Mike Brown belatedly made the switch in the final few minutes. Jalen Brunson didn't really get going until the fourth quarter. Victor Wembanyama was just an incredible deterrent to what he does best on the basketball court for long stretches of this one. Tough shooting night for OG Anunoby. Mikal Bridges looked like he was disinterested in having the ball. A couple crucial mistakes from Karl Anthony Towns late. Just generally terrible transition defense on Julian Champagnie, who set a record for most threes made in a game without, or most points scored in a game without a 2-point field goal. Set a Spurs record with 11 threes. He was ridiculous. Just not enough for the New York Knicks on the night.
Crazy game, and I think the Knicks, their box score speaks to what happens when you play Wemby, even if not for a full game, but part of a game is that some guys get afraid to shoot their normal shots. It's hard to score against him. We've seen that for his entire career. It keeps crescendoing as a thing impacting the league, and Jalen Brunson takes 24 shots. Deuce McBride takes 12. Nobody else at more than 10 for the Knicks. Just 10 for Karl Towns, 9 for Mikal Bridges, 10 for OG Anunoby, and he missed all 5 of his threes. You want to share the ball. You want to have pace and movement to try to make Wemby move or make the Spurs make errors elsewhere. But this guy covers so much ground. He's so huge. He has so much length. It's hard. It's hard to do that. And you see this every night against the Spurs. And I'm not even saying the Knicks had a bad offensive night. They scored 132 points. They made 22 threes. They found some solutions, but you just see a different type of approach from some of these teams in this game. And I might be overthinking this completely. When Champagnie is hitting 11 threes and Wemby in a game he plays under 24 minutes has 31 and 13. What are you even supposed to do as the San Antonio Spurs? And like Gavin said, De'Aaron Fox, who had a cold night from 3, 1 for 8 from deep for De'Aaron Fox. He goes 10 for 13 on his twos and 7 assists, 26 points. The thing that's made the Spurs so impressive to me personally, and why I would vault them up a tier from where I had them before the season in terms of championship equity this season, is even when Wemby's not on the floor, their guards are so good at keeping them at a high floor. And then when Wemby is on the floor, that makes their ceiling amazing. Fox has been awesome. This was a bad game from Castle, but he's had a great season. Dylan Harper looks special for a rookie. This was also a bad game from him, but they always have someone who can handle things and run the show on the floor. They showed that again in this game as they keep rolling. This Spurs team is legit. I don't know if they're an actual contender or a kind of contender or if they're just going to wreck the league for forever starting this year, but every time Wemby plays, he was plus 17 in his 24 minutes in a 2-point win. He has that kind of impact every time he plays, and you see how teams change the way they have to play against him. But the champagne was flowing there, and the champagne was flowing there. It was also flowing for the Washington Wizards, where Justin Champagnie, much quieter, he played 32.5 minutes for the Wizards against the Bucks in Milwaukee, by the way. He had 12 points and 9 rebounds. That's a very nice game for a lot of NBA players. To be clear, it fits the theme of New Year's very well. Let's go back in time before we talk about this Wizards-Bucks game. The Wizards beat the Bucks last month. Maybe it was December. It might have been late November. And that started the cycle of Giannis. And does he really want to be here? Is he going to explore the options for the Bucks? They can't even beat the Wizards. His old teammate Chris Middleton's getting him. This one was in Milwaukee. Giannis was back on the floor and had 33 points and 15 rebounds. They got 19 from Kevin Porter Jr., 16 from Ryan Rollins, 13 and 7 from Miles Turner, who had a monster block in this game, and 5 of them total. 13 points off the bench from Bobby Portis. And they lost the game. They lost the game to the Washington Wizards. That is shocking to see. The Wizards are playing better of late. To their credit, Champagnie, of course, one of many players who played well. We can get to all of them, but 114-113 the final. CJ McCollum, the vet, rising up in the final seconds as the Bucks blow a lead in the final minute. Locked On Wizards with more.
Goodness, guys. I'm speechless. The Washington Wizards get their 8th win on the season, beating the Milwaukee Bucks in crazy fashion. Giannis Antetokounmpo gets blocked by Alex Sarr. He finished the game with 4 blocks. CJ McCollum gets the ball, goes down court, mid-range shot with 1 second left. The Wizards hang on to win it. I mean, what a game by the Wiz kids. CJ McCollum, Bub Carrington, Trae Johnson were on fire from three-point land. Bub Carrington and Trae were pulling up from Lambeau. I mean, where do I even begin? AJ Johnson was getting some minutes, and he was producing. Great cultural win by the Wiz. Before the year ends, Happy New Year's, Wizards fans. I understand the tanking crowd, but be happy. Great team win. Go Wiz.
Love the energy after a Wizards win. And this is he's exactly right that this is the young guys and what you should want. If this is how you're going to win a game as the Wizards, this is how you should want it to happen. If it hurts your draft odds, it doesn't matter as much when Bilal Coulibaly can play 25 minutes, score 10 points, and defend his butt off all night. Alex Sarr can have 20 and 11 and 4 blocks, many of them crucial in this game. Trae Johnson, who feels like unlimited range, pulling up from forever. He made 4 threes in this game. Champagnie was great. Bub Carrington makes 6 threes. He's had an inefficient season as a whole, but has been better of late. 3 of them coming when I believe the game was tied at 90 when I flipped this on. He made 3 in a row to make it 99-90 Wizards. The Bucks come all the way back to erase that lead, and they still lost the game, but Bub Carrington made shots. They got good play, like he said, from A.J. Johnson, a former Buck. Will Riley is a player for them. I really like him. I mean, that's how you should want to win. Chris Middleton gave them nothing. He missed every shot he took. C.J. McCollum played pretty well and, of course, hit the buzzer beater. But if you want to win a game as the Wizards, you want it to be because your young kids who are going to be a part of your next core do something special or do something well, and all of them did in this game. So credit to the Wizards for that. And you, once again, turn back to the Bucks, who lose to the Wizards with Giannis, with this new team. This team is supposed to be good. This team was trying to be good and make some noise, and obviously their record is impacted by the fact that they didn't have Giannis for almost a month or whatever it was, 4 weeks with that calf injury. But, I mean, all of their starters had 10-plus points except for A.J. Green, who had 9. Giannis was awesome. They're playing the Wizards at home, and they can't win that game. They can't win that game. This team might be worse than even they maybe thought. They've got to figure something out. They just don't – they never have quite, to me, the pop or athleticism that they need. They have a lot of guys who are good players, but are more like very good with someone else providing the juice, and they kind of feed off of it. And Giannis is a juice player. He's a stud. But if you have to create it with one guy, and he's doing it all the time, Kevin Porter Jr. has it sometimes, I guess, but it doesn't feel like they have quite enough of that oomph and power from one guy that makes it easier for everybody else, makes everybody else feel like that they'll get involved when they need to. That happened in this game. Again, Giannis is very good. He had 3 assists, right? They need to find a way to keep the ball popping a little bit better than they have, and they didn't win this one. And I will forever wonder what they think they should do, but I would never trade Giannis unless he specifically demands to be traded to me. The Bucks going into the new year on a very sad note. Also a sad note, The Nuggets don't have Jokic, and they still won in Toronto. Plus, the Hawks without Trae Young. They win. What? We have so much more coming here on Locked On NBA Game Night. But first, everybody, let me talk to you about the great people over at Gametime during basketball season. There's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everybody on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Gametime comes in. The Gametime app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets fast, simple, without the guesswork. Browsing the Gametime app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets takes just a few taps. You can see the view from your seat before buying. It's super easy to choose with the fees shown up front. You don't find out as a surprise at the end. Their zone deals are wonderful. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Gametime app today and get in on the action with Gametime. We're back here on Locked On NBA Game Night. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day and being an everydayer. Listening to our two shows on this feed, Game Night every night, breaking down every single game every night from around the association. That's what this is all about. Everything you love to talk about with the transactions and the legacies and everything, it is because of the games. The games are what make that all interesting. But of course, the also midday daily show with Wes Goldberg, Matt Moore, and Hayes, talking about the other things that are happening around the league, the trade chatter, the injuries, the big stories that are happening off the floor, which also guide so much of what happens on it. What a feed to subscribe to as you head into the new year. If you have goals that you want to accomplish this year at the gym, driving to the gym, in your personal life, whatever, add Locked On NBA to your daily routine. Okay, let's make this about injuries for a second. In some cases good, in some cases bad. For example, Trae Young missing this Hawks game. A lot of talk about the Hawks' future and Trae Young's future with that team. They were rolling. He came back. Suddenly they stopped rolling. Is that related? Is that not? Well, the Hawks hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves. A pretty good team tonight, although the vibes around Minnesota are kind of odd. And Ant had 30 points, and the Hawks just blew him out. 126-102 win for Atlanta without Trae Young. Jalen Johnson, incredible. I'll tell you about it in a second, but first hear from Brad Rowland, who was on the scene with Locked On Hawks.
Brad Rowland, I'm the host of the Locked On Hawks podcast, and the Hawks are no longer on a 7-game losing streak. Instead, they snapped it with a New Year's Eve afternoon victory in dominant fashion over the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Hawks were due for a good performance, and they certainly got one. It helped that Kristaps Porzingis returned for the first time in about 3.5-4 weeks, and his presence was felt right away. He was a game-best plus 22 for the Hawks in this game. Rim protection, scoring, floor spacing, all the things that Kristaps tends to do when he is available to play were on display in this one. Plus, Jalen Johnson wraps up a historic December, becoming the 7th player in the history of the league to average a 25-point triple-double over the course of a calendar month. He was monstrous in this game as well. 30-plus points once again for Jalen, and he was a dominant force in this one. No Trae Young in this game. I'm sure that would be part of the discourse for sure, but for me, Porzingis coming back, headlining a team that just needed another in size infusion, as the Hawks have been really struggling in the front court. A little more of a compliment to Okongwu and just extra strength up front. And it manifested in this game as well. The possession battle went to the Hawks, which has not been the case in recent days. At any rate, we'll get into a full breakdown as we always would on the podcast, but a good way to end 2025 for the Hawks with a win on New Year's Eve.
Brad is dead on that Porzingis just as big of a factor as any tweak to the roster, you might say. For the Hawks, he's a great player, and the things he specifically provides are things they are lacking sometimes, right? Spacing, general connectivity, defense. Onyeka Okongwu, a great 5. He doesn't provide all the things that Porzingis provides, or else they would play Okongwu a lot more. And he's a very good player, to be clear. I love this Hawks team. I was really into them before the season. I've been wrong about their true level, but I think the Trae Young conversation, which Brad said will naturally come up, and I'm going to add to that chorus, sorry, Brad, is just because the way he tweaks that team, the identity has to become around him with how much he has the ball. It's not a bad thing. Trae Young led a team to the conference finals this decade. I've been higher on him than most for his whole career. It's so insane that his assists per game has gone up every year of his career. I think Trae Young both raises the Hawks ceiling and lowers their floor by playing. And so when you don't have Porzingis, you see that there's a high chance that something falls out and they go down closer to that floor, and that's why they lose 7 in a row and the vibes seem bad. But there's also a chance that if Porzingis is back and Trae Young returns, the Hawks look awesome again. People were loving this team during their stretch right before Trae came back. Jalen Johnson, like he just said, has been gaudy numbers this whole season. Alexander Walker's been great for them. Dyson Daniels, everybody knows what he can do. It's a great team. There are a lot of good pieces on it. They got it done in this one. Sad state of affair game for the Wolves, who have a good record, but it doesn't feel great. Things don't feel right for them. McDaniels was banged up. going into this one. DiVincenzo had an off night. They just got smoked in every way. I saw some posts about what their coaches were saying on the broadcast about how poorly they were playing. It was not good. Ben Beacon of Locked On Wolves will have more.
Blown out by the Atlanta Hawks on New Year's Eve in a matinee. They lose by 24 in Atlanta. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the daily Locked On Wolves podcast. An effort is the word of the day, or really a complete lack of effort is the phrase of the day for the Timberwolves. In the first half, they turned it over too much. They allowed too many wide open shots for Atlanta. Atlanta shot the ball well enough, and they also defended well, but really it was just a lack of carry from Minnesota. The second chance points for the Hawks were crazy, points in the paint. All the statistics that indicate a lack of effort were there. Ant was great, especially offensively in the first half. He finished with 30 points. He was north of 20 at halftime, playing back in his hometown. He was really good. Nobody else scored more than 19 points on the Wolves. And if you take out garbage time, Randall had 19, Ant had 30. Nobody else had more than 8 points on the Timberwolves. A miserable offensive performance. They shoot 35% from three. And again, it really was more about the effort than anything else. They've now lost 3 of 4 and have some serious soul searching to do before they go to Miami and then Washington as the road trip continues.
You never want to hear about an effort loss as a fan of a team or seeing a team play. If they don't give it the raw, you don't learn anything. Bad game for the Wolves. And again, he says soul searching. You continue to hear like bad vibes things. When I read posts from fans or people who cover the Wolves, it always sounds so doomy and gloomy, and their record looks good. Does that mean maybe a run will come for them at some point where they look great, or does that mean maybe they need one more ball handler? Mike Conley's getting old. Dillingham hasn't given them enough this year. Bones Highland has been better, 0 for 7 in this game. What do they need? What do the Wolves need? I think they might need one more piece, but they're a good team. They're a little banged up at the moment. We'll see if they can do better. But the Trae Youngless Hawks, the story of this one. Speaking of playerless teams, the Nuggets begin their trek without Jokic. Jonas Valanciunas starting at the 5. They go to Atlanta. What am I saying? They go to Toronto. They play 8 guys in total. The Raptors are pretty good. Brandon Ingram's going crazy. And it's a win for Denver. How about that? They needed that one in a big way, just to feel like they know what the blueprint is to get wins in this current era that they're going to have to be trudging on through for the next couple weeks without Jokic. Jonas Valanciunas obviously is going to start at the 5, their backup. They bring up Deron Holmes, who's played a lot in the G League. He was, if you don't remember, their first-round pick in last year's draft, tore his Achilles in Summer League and has barely played. He was productive, 11 points for him. Valanciunas goes for 17, 9, and 4 assists and 3 blocks. He got a little banged up in this game as well. If he's out for a while, oh boy. But if those two can give you something in terms of consistent production for nearly or all of 48 minutes in this game, they combined for about 45 minutes for this Nuggets team. That's huge, right? That is huge for what they can do to survive without Nikola Jokic. But obviously they're going to need it to be everybody, and they're going to need their defense to be great. And that's how they won this game. Peyton Watson was a part of the everybody. 24 points for him with only 1 made 3. That's huge. His spot-up ability and ability to be a spacer for their starting 5 has made him more and more valuable. His defense is very good. If he's making 8 2-point shots, he's going to level up in this time with Jokic sidelined. He was their leader in made shots. Jamal Murray goes 6 for 18 back in Canada on a little bit of an off night. Jalen Pickett 4 of 11. Spencer Jones 0 of 3. But Peyton Watson gave him enough, and their defense was quite good for much of the game. The Raptors scoring 103. And this is the problem for this Toronto team. That's good. This Toronto team is good. Brandon Ingram with the 3 to tie it at the buzzer, and it was so close. If the clock operator started the clock like a smidge late, and it was still barely late, it was crazy. It banked in. It did not count. He had 30 and 8. He's a beast. Scotty Barnes, another triple-double. He has one ho-hum all the time now. And he had some amazing passes in this game. RJ Barrett has 17. Quickly has 22. And they basically get nothing from anybody else. Right? Those guys are all very good. And they can all score. And they can make jumpers. And they can make a defense react and rotate and go, uh-oh. But they always need one. I always feel like when I watch the Raptors, they need one other player who's not the 4 I just said to give them something of note, right? A lot of times it's been Sandro Mamukilashvili. Can he get going with some toward the rim pop and finishing plays? Sometimes Grady Dick makes shots, not a lot. Sometimes Jamal Shedd is rocking as another point guard weapon. Jacoby Walter every once in a while, Chai Baji, whatever. None of them in this game. All of them were off. The Raptors shoot 37% on all shots, 26.7% from deep. They just don't have quite enough play finishing pop night to night. They're a really good team, I think. I think they'll click more later in the season. They're still gaining chemistry with how often they were hurt last year and things of that nature. But they have nights like this where their offense looks very poor. Their transition play early in the season was what made them get out and going so well. That's really hard to get when you're, not quite all gelling together. The Raptors can be better than this. They certainly can. 5 more games from this New Year's Eve that we have to get to. Paolo Banchero at the buzzer. The Cavs welcome back their old assistant coach in Phoenix and beat him up. The Warriors win a road game again. Much more coming to close out today's Locked On NBA Game Night. But first, got to talk to you guys about FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the game tips off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing. With NBA Happy Hour opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. You can check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect. It's right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy and excitement to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Back here on Locked On NBA Game Night, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day and being an everydayer. You can sign up for your Everydayer Club for any of your favorite Locked On podcasts and get ad-free versions of the shows. Your second listen could be whatever team you want to lock in on. How'd the Nuggets win without Jokic? Locked On Nuggets could explain it better than me, for example. Locked On Pacers, if you want to hear me talk about Paolo Banchero beating the Pacers at the buzzer as the Pacers lose their 10th in a row. I was at this game. I will let Philip Rossman-Reich talk about the Magic part, but better from the Pacers, who have stunk recently. Obviously, you lose 10 in a row, you stink. But Pascal Siakam with 26, Ben Mathurin with 23, Andrew Nembhard with 19, Ben Shepherd off the bench returns from injury with 12. Things look good for them. They were winning in the fourth quarter. That very rarely happens. But their offense died in the fourth with 15 points. You credit the Magic defense. That's what they do. They tighten the screws. They keep you out of the paint. They have so many tenacious defenders. And they just needed a little bit of offense to go with it. They got it from Paolo Banchero. 29 points from Banchero, including an and one in the final 10 seconds. That ended up being the game-winning shot. Philip Rossman-Reich of Locked On Magic with more.
Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic, as the Orlando Magic defeat the Indiana Pacers 112-110 on Paolo Banchero's game-winning and one. He missed the free throw, but game-winning and one layup with 6 seconds to play. It was another great game for Paolo Banchero, who had 29 points and really be continuing to look more like the Paolo Banchero that we expect from this team. But it was still a major struggle for the Orlando Magic against an Indiana Pacers team that is not very strong offensively. They have a lot of the offensive weapons from last year, but not a very strong offensive team. Orlando struggled to defend. They sent the Pacers to line over and over again. The Pacers made a ton of three-pointers throughout the course of the game. Magic, I think, were only 3 for 20 from three in the game. Just a really difficult game for Orlando on the perimeter. But the Magic kept fighting back, and that's got to be the key right now. So the Magic have to continue fighting, finding their resolve, and finding a way to play Magic basketball. Yeah, that starts on the defensive end. This Orlando team just hasn't looked like themselves since the Jalen Suggs injury, and certainly since the Franz Wagner injury as well. Jalen Suggs did return in this game, but had very little impact in this one. But really, since the Franz Wagner injury, this Magic team hasn't played to the Magic standard, hasn't played to the level that they know they're capable of. They were able to find it a little bit in the fourth quarter, and that helped them get into the lead, stay in the lead, maintain the lead, even as their offense continued to struggle, and gave them the chance to close the game thanks to their star player in Paolo Banchero. The Magic get the win to close the year. They will take any of them that they can get as they continue this road trip in Chicago on Friday.
Well said from Philip. The Magic will take any win they can get. Suggs was back and laboring, but Banchero was the story. Wendell Carter was good. Goga Bitadze off the bench good. Will the Pacers ever win again? I'll have more of that on Locked On Pacers, but credit the Magic. They did not play well, and they won. That's a sign of generally a good team. Let's go to Charlotte, where the Warriors win on the road. Steph Curry returning to his home area with 26 points. They get a double-double from Draymond Green, who almost had a triple-double. Jimmy Butler with 19. That's going to work a lot. Keith Santos with 13 off the bench. That's enough to get to 132. The Hornets are much better with their health and with everybody. They get 60 combined from LaMelo and Brandon Miller, another 20 from Con Knipple, who might be the Rookie of the Year favorite. I mean, this is a solid core being built. They nailed the draft this year. Liam McNeely can play. Sion James can play. Obviously, Con Knipple can play. And Kalkbrenner, when he's available, is a great player. They nailed it. They absolutely nailed it. PJ Hall, that got on a two-way, was balling in this game. It's a bright future in Charlotte, but sometimes you run into Steph Curry, and his spacing just warps everything, makes everybody's life easier. And I hate to say it, but the Warriors are just better than the Hornets. I don't even hate to say it because I like or dislike either team. It's just when you run into a buzzsaw, even if you're a good young team playing a nice game at home, it's going to be tough to win. Losing Steph Curry for 10 3-point attempts is always tough. Brandon Podziemski finally giving the Warriors a big boost with 19 points for their second unit. Good win for the Warriors. They're continuing to climb back to 2 games over 500. Let's go to Cleveland, where the Cavs welcomed in the Suns. Jordan Knott, ex-Cavs assistant, back with the Suns for the first time. It was a blowout early. The Suns made it close as Devin Booker recovered from a slow start in his way to 32 points. Jordan Goodwin, a guard, had 15 rebounds. The Suns got good stuff. They also got smoked in this game. Donovan Mitchell is an incredible player, a 34-point double-double. He almost had a triple-double. They got great rebounding play from their bigs and defense from their interior. This looked more like the Cavs of last year, albeit not quite. Having Sam Merrill back really helps. Danny Cunningham of Locked On Cavs was at this game. He'll have more.
After the Cavs beat the Phoenix Suns 129-113, the floor is already gone, so I'm walking on the concourse for about 94 feet while we talk about this game. And this game, I think, is another step in the right direction for the Cavs. What they needed to do after what I think was the best win the Cavs have had all season on Monday night in San Antonio was follow it up with another really strong effort, and that's exactly what they did. It wasn't perfect. Thought they had a few too many turnovers in this game, certainly through the first 3 quarters. The fourth quarter was very good, but the Cavs got off to a very fast start. They led by as many as 20 in the first half. The Suns battled back. They cut it to within 4 as Phoenix is a very hard-playing basketball team, and that was certainly on display on Wednesday afternoon here in Cleveland. But the Cavs played a full 48 minutes of high-effort, high-intensity basketball, and that's not always going to be enough, and they shot the ball well, and that's a big reason why they won this game. But this team that I watched play on Wednesday is not the same team that I've watched play most of the games so far this year. The Cavs, to me, look like a team that is starting to turn a corner, that is very much headed in the right direction, and is very close to looking like the team that everybody expected them to be. Now, they have to continue along this track of stringing positive performances together. They take on the Denver Nuggets on Friday night right here at Rocket Arena, and I will talk to you after that.
Cavs could be a bus off. They get it going. We saw Kenny Atkinson last year. Anytime he had a decision to make with subs or with his second unit, he slammed the buzzer. He said, I want a shooter on the floor. He has Sam Merrill back as an option. 4 threes for Sam Merrill on his way to 16 points. Jalen Tyson can shoot for them. Their team just makes sense when Garland is good and Kenny Atkinson has shooters at his disposal. The Suns are good. This was not their night. OKC, hey, if you haven't heard, they're really good. They blow out the Portland Trailblazers by almost 30 points, 124-95. SGA with 36 and 4 steals. He's a beast. They had several players in double figures. The Thunder are just incredible, limiting the Portland team to under 40% from the field, and they made 40% of their threes, which means Portland was below 40% from 2 and had 24 turnovers. Yikes. Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder has more.
The Oklahoma City Thunder blow out the Portland Trailblazers. SGA had 30 points again in under 30 minutes. Nobody could stop him. You look at Chet Holmgren with a double-double, and this Thunder team did what they're supposed to do. They forced turnovers. They got in transition. They had defensive intensity all night. They closed quarters strong, and they got a blowout win over Portland. Not much else to say about this game. The Thunder still awaiting Jalen Williams to return to form with his efficiency after that offseason wrist surgery, but A.J. Mitchell stepped up in a big way. He was 100% from the floor, but 8 for 8 at the free throw line for a 17-point outing for him. I thought that A.J. Mitchell played exceptionally well off this Thunder bench. Lou Dort hit 40% of his threes in this game. A serviceable offensive night for him, and I think that overall you see this Thunder team now catching a bit of a groove after a lull, going for 3 straight wins. Now they've got to capitalize on this 2-game West Coast road trip. More coming up at Locked On Thunder.
Thunder are awesome. If you haven't heard, 17 points on 4 true shot attempts for A.J. Mitchell in this game. On the Portland side, they stunk, but keep an eye on City Sissoko. I think he's good. I think his contract will be tweaked at some point this season. He's deserved it. Caleb Love's given him nice minutes. They'll be better than this when they get healthier. They are missing guards very badly. Last one of the night, Pelicans, Bulls. The Bulls hang 134 on New Orleans in this one. Jake Madison sent me some shorts, but the audio was buggy. So to tell you about it, Zion was awesome with 31 points. The him and Queen front court is just a hoot and a holler, but they couldn't guard it all. Jordan Poole with 26. When your highest scorers are poor defenders, you're going to have a tough night, even without Josh Giddey, who's been balling this season. The Bulls get an awesome Trae Jones game, who was 7 for 7 with 20 points and 12 assists. They get an awesome Isaac Okoro game, who made 6 twos. Jalen Smith with a 14-point, 14-rebound double-double. He started at the 4. He's normally a center. He plays next to Vucevic, and they get a great Vuce game and a Buzel's game. The bench just had to be okay for the Bulls in this game, and it was. Very clever starting lineup from Billy Donovan that this actually worked out. Every time I watch the Bulls, I think when they have 2 or 3 of their best defenders available, they look like a real team. They look pretty good. They had Trae Jones. They had Isaac Okoro. They had Ayo Dosunmu. That was enough. That was enough for them to look credible enough on defense. When they get stops, they get out and run. They look good. And they did in this game. Good for the Bulls, who after a terrible stretch in late November to early December look like a real team again. That's all for today. We'll have more on the Locked On NBA normal feed later today with the latest from around the league in the trade, injury, and update front. And then tomorrow night, of course, Locked On NBA Game Night once again. Back with Wes Goldberg next weekend on this day. But Locked On NBA Game Night does come every single night in the NBA. Thank you guys so much for listening today. We will all see you very soon.